Okay, let's have the next guest.
Hello, my name is Agnes Erskine. I'm actually an undergrad student, and I'm also the chair of public relations and communications for a nonprofit called Yeri We Cry, which means hear our cry, it's a Creole dialect from Sierra Leone. Basically, our organization is a baby. It's only a year old, and it was founded by 3 of my friends on a trip for one of the founders' birthdays, and they were all just kind of discussing ways that we can give back to our parents' country. I was born right up the street in Silver Spring, Maryland, but my mother was born in Sierra Leone and my father was born in Ghana. So basically, all of the founders are from Sierra Leone, and all of them were born here as well, and their parents were born in Sierra Leone. And they were just kind of talking about ways that we can give back to our country, even though, you know, we're all young, we're all still in our early 20s, but we're just trying to think of ways that this generation can make moves towards a better Africa. And we figured that the best way to start would be our home base of Sierra Leone. Our mission is to alleviate the maternal and infant mortality rates in Sierra Leone. Right now, 1 in 8 women die due to complications of pregnancy and childbirth, and 1 in 5 children die before they even reach their 5th birthday because of those same complications. So a lot of the problem is that women aren't getting proper antenatal care, and they're not getting, they really don't have the proper means of getting to hospitals and things like that to give birth. So a lot of them are giving birth at home. They're dying because of hemorrhaging, and they just, you know, they're not taking care of themselves properly during the pregnancy. So of course during childbirth, it's obviously not a very good outcome. We actually got our first grant for $10,000, and that's kind of what we've used as a foundation to do our work. We did our first mission trip last summer, and basically we went to Sierra Leone and we distributed birthing kits and incentive packages. The incentive packages are basically to get the women to come down to hospitals to give birth. I don't know what it is, to be honest. We're not experts in the field. It's just that when we were looking for ways to give back and for ways to kind of improve the country, we just realized that maternal and infant mortality was like the top issue that's taking place in Sierra Leone. So we just figured that if we could find a way to get the women down to hospitals and down to the clinics and down to the facilities to actually get the education that they need and to get care through their pregnancy, that would be the first step to kind of, you know, decreasing the rates of mortality. So the incentive packages are basically consist of like baby wash and baby powder and lotion and things like that women really don't have access to already as it is. So we figured that would be a good way to get them to come down, get the proper education, and just kind of become more familiar with the hospital and the facilities that they would be giving birth in. And then the actual birthing kits are because even though we would prefer for the women to give birth in a hospital as opposed to home, the hospitals aren't up to par. Like the general things that we take for granted here, they don't have, like running water, light, just the basic necessities. They don't have them. They don't have scissors. The gloves that they use, like rubber gloves, they wash them and reuse them, and all of that is obviously not sanitary for giving birth. So our birthing kits consist of basic tools like scissors, gloves, I believe pans, and just basic things that you would need to that can provide a successful birthing experience. So right now we're focused on Bow Government Hospital, which is a province in Sierra Leone. We chose Bow because the president and co-founder of the organization, she actually was doing a pageant, and that was the province that she was representing, and that was her platform for the pageant. So we started with Bow, but we hope to be able to expand eventually throughout the rest of the country, and then maybe even go beyond that into the rest of the continent. So that's just a basic overview. Right now, we're kind of in a restructuring phase because so much happened so fast within the year. Within the year, we got the grant and we did the mission trip. And I mean, that in itself was just a lot. So that's just a basic overview of the organization. If anybody has any questions?
Why don't we have, or you want to ask questions? Why don't we have a couple of questions and then we'll have Dr. Nian come in and then we'll start the conversation again. Quick questions, please.
Just a quick, who did you receive the grant from?
Oh, the Davis Foundation projects, 100 projects for peace.
Thank you for coming. I think it's a good initiative, and this is something. However, do you guys have anything in mind, like maybe funding ambulances? Or might be more efficient than just the kids. The kids are good, however, often they die on the way to the hospital.
That's very true. They die all the way because they don't have, you're right, they don't have proper transportation. And a lot of the times they're going on foot, they have to take a boat. It just takes a really long time to get there. But right now, what we have at our disposal isn't very much. So we're looking into other ways, but this was just the most immediate way that we were able to kind of get our hands in there and to get started. But eventually, I think as we progress, we'll be able to go much, deeper with.
Maybe you guys could try to finance one, find other organizations around here, do some fundraising for
Definitely.
something.
Thank you.
Just according to what you know, do most of the, was Sierra Leone people get they give birth at home or in the hospital?
At home.
So really, recently it's very interesting. I just watched this documentary about birth. I don't know why I rented it, but they talk about the midwife practices in America, and actually it reduced the death rate of giving birth. So maybe just come up with, I think they're thinking about some idea. Since they couldn't go to the hospital,
they can train the people with this.
Yes.
To train the people. That's another thing that we've just thrown out so many different ideas. Really, we don't have, and none of us have any experience within the field. It's a bunch of college students that just kind of got together and were like, we do everything by ourselves basically. We have a board of directors that kind of advise us, but really it's just us doing everything and just kind of learning along the way. But that's one of the ideas that we kind of came up with, because already as it is, they have their midwives that assist when it comes to births. But the problem is they're not properly trained, they're not properly educated, and they really don't have knowledge of what it is that they're doing. They're going based on old practices that have been passed down to them from, their elders and their ancestors and things like that. So, I mean, it's definitely something that I think would be a good way to get in there and faster as well if we have the proper doctors and, technicians and things like that to teach them and to train them. That's definitely a good idea.
I can share that.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was just going to say something about the midwife experience, because before my generation
That's right.
that came along in the early 1950s, everyone basically in the United States was born at home.
Yeah.
My great-grandfather was 28 when he married my great-grandmother. She was 14. That was the norm, because his first wife had died in childbirth. So the whole concept of midwives does have to kick in. Do you have people on the ground that actually stay in Sierra Leone?
We don't.
Because
we don't have designated officials. We have
because as your organization grows, that will come.
Definitely.
And it will have to when you're dealing with, like, my wife is from Jamaica, and she's shown me horror stories related to the hospitals in Jamaica. Blood on the walls, like you say, no electricity, no running water,
sheets on the cribs.
nothing. Just and so women would normally prefer, well, I'm not going there. I'd rather die here at home. So it's a really ugly situation where you have a fear of going to the hospital, and there's no prenatal vitamins, no postnatal vitamins. So it's a fear. And I also, before I stop, I note that I ran into one young lady. As a matter of fact, it was my wife's cousin, who had a home delivery and the midwife and everything. Everything was done properly, except that the baby's eye was kind of distorted during the birth. The midwife, like you say, they have to be trained properly, or they can make some very, very serious mistakes that normally wouldn't be made by a doctor. So, or you know, like in our hospitals now, they have like a team of doctors that help deliver a baby. It's really a unique experience. But I think you have a wonderful organization, and with regard, last thing, with regard to the ambulance thing, I was looking into that because I set up an organization, an NGO, a quote-unquote 501c3, a long time ago, back in 2002. And I was looking into ambulances down in Richmond, where I live. And I got a lot of promises. Now, mind you, these things are $400 and some thousand a piece. But when they wear out, they don't want them. They want new ones and stuff. But what I found out in dealing with the African countries that I wanted to try to ship them to, they were talking about using them for mortuary purposes. Because the hospitals are so bad that it was like a shock to me that we'd rather use your ambulances to run around and collect dead bodies than to take living people to the hospital. So you got a culture shock. I got a culture shock. So, but we can talk later. I know Dr. Hailey wants us to wrap it up and get it moving. I can see that whip cracking.
I know from a little experience, and back home, the nurses and midwives are really rude a lot of times. Is there like, you guys experience that back home in terms of dealing with them? Because I know a lot of women don't want to go to these facilities because of that. Or they even want midwives around because they're just so rude, they're just so mean, they get slapped, they get yelled at, and of course it's because of the stress and all the pressure with overcrowded hospitals and stuff. So did you guys experience that, and do you have any way of, or ideas that you're going to train them in terms of customer service? Because I know that's like a thing Africans run away from.
Yeah. Well, we didn't really deal so much with midwives and things like that. I will say though, for the other like figures of authority, I know it's kind of tricky sometimes when it comes to dealing with them and, you know, trying to get things done the right way without having to bribe and, you know, the dirty politics of it. But when it comes down to the actual people that were helping and things like that, they were very open and very, very welcoming to having people come in and try and kind of rectify the situation. So that wasn't something that we really dealt with, that we had to worry about.
Question, how much does it cost for one birthing kit?
That's a good question. We actually, well, okay, let's just put it this way. We got $10,000. We bought 500 birthing kits and I believe 200 incentive packages, and all the money was gone. Between 500 birthing kits and 200 incentive packages. And the incentive packages weren't that much. So I want to say, I can get an accurate number because I don't want to throw out the wrong number.
So it would be less than, obviously, $1,000. It might be like maybe $300. For one kit?
For one kit, yeah.
Maybe like,
yeah, for one.
for one kit, $15?
Yeah.
So if I sent $15, I could help potentially save one baby?
Yeah, the mother and the child.
Okay, so what I'm suggesting, first, I think it's wonderful that you didn't wait until you had your degree to start doing something about what's happening in your home community. I think this is absolutely what I mean. I think it's marvelous, but I don't think you need to wait even to get a whole bunch more money from big sources.
Yeah.
Because if you put out, and I'd be the first to give $15 to help bring up one African baby into the world safely, that we could help birth one baby safely. If you just sent out that email for $15, you might be surprised how many of your students would, your friends would, not drink 2 Starbucks cappuccinos, to help save a baby. I mean, it's that simple. And I think you have to wait until you have big proposals. That's the other thing. mean, just an email and say, and if you have anybody else that might be willing to help birth one baby safely, forward this email. You'd be amazed, especially given social networking, what can happen.
That's been the bulk of our mission so far, of getting the word out there, has been through social media, because we have done a lot of fundraisers, and we just did a fundraiser in LA 2 weeks ago. It's actually a full-out campaign, and it's gonna end at the end of this month. So we are kind of trying to do things to get the word out there, aside from the grants and stuff like that, because those don't come obviously every day, and that's a long process of having to write out the proposals and do all of that. So we do a lot of fundraising and just word of mouth, and a lot of people have put in donations. We've had middle schools do do blanket drives and cupcake bake sales and things like that. So we've definitely done that a lot. The main thing though that I found is an issue is trying to pull in our generation, because that's not the main focus, but that is, I think, basically where it starts. In order to get it to perpetuate, is to start kind of at the ground level.
Send me your email, I'll send you $15 and forward it at least to 5 other people.
Okay, thank you so much.
What are your thoughts? Let's have Professor Niang give his thoughts, and we'll come both to address Mr. Kara's ideas, and we'll all get engaged, and I'm glad already we're all excited and we have at least 40 minutes or so, so let's hear yours, and then we'll open it up again and we'll get you engaged. Maybe if you want to come join him on that side, why don't you sit on the chair? Sit beside him.
So the reaches are so far. Yeah. Skull, right?
She can come on there, see the audience. Come on, sit down.
Why don't you move over so she
Yeah. No, she can come this way. Come on, this way. Yeah, come this way. So you can come in this way. Sarah will let you in. All right. Sit down. All right. Then I just make commentaries about your presentation.
Oh, Lord. Now I'm trapped.
No, first of all, thank you very much.